Hello again. I'm coming back on Facebook Live because of the case of Anand Kumar, the senior physiotherapist from Solihull, from Good Hope Hospital in Solihull. A couple of weeks ago, you may remember that we started a petition, or Anand started a petition, to look at the exemption figures required for his case of the government had set a target saying that non-EU people were likely to, if they weren't earning a basic salary of £35,000 within the NHS, to be sent home. And you may recall I made a video about it saying that I thought it was wrong. Hello, Elaine Dolan. Happy birthday to you. You may recall that I started a video to say that how I thought it was wrong that they wanted to send this man home just because he didn't earn 35,000 in a basic salary. And I said, I think that's wrong. You know, the fact that the guy doesn't earn £35,000 in his basic salary and he's paying taxes, but just because he's not from the EU is not a reason to send him home. And so we started the petition and it went up to, we got it over the first hurdle, which was £10,000, when the government responded. And this is the reason for making the second video, is because of the government's response. And the government's response to this is, we've had a look at the people within the NHS that we need, like nurses and doctors and things like that. And don't get me wrong, the nurses are exempt from this £35,000 salary. But all the other people who support the nurses aren't exempt from this £35,000 a year salary, such as physiotherapists. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Anand. Anand came here in 2009. And started his studying, okay, and he borrowed the money to come here and study. And so he started studying and then he qualified. And ever since then, he's been earning, you know, a little bit under £35,000, but on a Saturday and a Sunday, he works additionally. He comes in and does overtime and, you know, he takes care of people like that. He also does private treatment. So Anand has actually earned way in excess of it, whilst paying sort of way in excess of the tax, you know, that most people would pay in this country. You know, he's been paying far, far greater tax than most people in this country. And yet, as a result, because he isn't earning £35,000 in his basic salary from the NHS, he's got to go home. Well, one, that's still wrong. But the reason that we're so upset and the reason that I'm making this second video is because the government have sent us a response saying that they've looked at the shortage of people that we need, and they've consulted the independent body for the migration service, the independent body for the migration. And this is where it starts to get really tricky, because what you actually start to realise that this is nothing to do with a basic £35,000 salary, Jane Shaw. This is more to do with, okay, the government trying to take back control of migration. And they can't do anything to do with EU employees or EU, people from the EU. The 3.5 million people that have come from the EU, there's nothing they can do about it because we're part of the EU even still, and we can't send them back. Our NHS would fall apart. But then also, if we took all the people from outside the EU who worked in the NHS and the care centres and we sent them back, our NHS would fall apart. And that's maybe where the answer lies in this riddle. Because they have sent us back, exactly, Jane Shaw, they have sent us back. Please share this video, by the way, just share it with your friends. You can look down on the bottom right hand corner down there and just press share. And if you know anybody who works in the NHS, share. If you know anybody who's a physiotherapist, share. Do you believe in life after love? Well, I believe in life after this election, that's for sure, because I'm telling you now, what they are trying to do is dismantle the NHS. What they're trying to do is freelance the NHS. What they're trying to do is get us all to sign up to health policies. And who's the chap at the very, very top? Mr. Jeremy Hunt. Who wrote the book about privatising the NHS? Mr. Jeremy Hunt. There's no surprise there that these things aren't connected. So, anyway, the major problem that I have, the major issue that I have is we started getting the signatures and we had up until the 12th of June. Well, the government have sent us back a letter saying, well, we did this study in 2011 and we did this study in 2015 and we've got these independent advisors in and these consultants have come in and it's all to do with whatever basic salary you earn, and if you earn 35,000 basic salary, you can stay. But if you don't, then you've got to go. Well, that's just wrong, government, wrong. And if people actually knew what you were trying to do, they would rise up and they'd be appalled at what you're trying to do. They'd be absolutely disgusted with what you're trying to do, because you're trying to dismantle an organisation that was built long before you came on this earth, long before you even went to university, long before you never got a job, yeah? And now you're trying to dismantle it by sending a taxpayer home or saying, oh, if you move to London and earn a salary down in London, you'll be in the 35,000 bracket, so you won't have to go home. Well, that's just prejudicing against the rest of the country by telling someone that they've got to move to London to earn a salary so that they can stay. You know, this man's paid his taxes. This man pays his taxes. He pays more taxes probably than the 3.2 million people who are allowed to just walk in here from the EU. And I'm not saying that all EU migrants are not bad people, because they're not. A lot of them work. A lot of them are hard-working people. But, of course, you can't control that, can you? Because you've got no control over it. Well, it's wrong. So, people, I'd like to share the petition, and I'd like you to share it with your friends, share it with the NHS, share it with anybody in the press, you know, share it with anybody in the radio, that, you know, that a government can take a petition that was due to be completed by the 12th of June, and then because they've called an election, say, all bets are off now, it's got to be in by the 3rd of May. What, so like the next government can't look at it when they get back in? That's absolute rubbish, government, you know. You know, if the man gets 100,000 signatures saying, we think this can't be quite right, you know, then it should be discussed by any government. It doesn't matter whether you're blue, red, purple, green, yellow, whatever. You know, it's wrong. And you should just blinking accept the fact that you made a mistake with the salary level, or that you can't control migratory people in the NHS by putting a false capped salary on it to reduce it down and then say, oh, it's underfunded, we'll have to privatise it. Well, no, you won't have to privatise it. And so, you know, you can literally just lower the salary level, admit you've got it wrong, you've made a mistake. It doesn't matter that you've made a mistake. You can rectify a mistake. But what would be even worse of a mistake is to know that you've made a mistake and do nothing about it. Because don't forget, when you're elected to be an MP, you're elected to serve the people, not to serve yourself or to serve your buddies over in America with their private health schemes. You're elected to serve the people that elect you. Your first call of duty is to serve them. And shame on you, Mr. MP from over there. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Shame on you, pal. Because when you should have been standing up for one of your constituents, you've gone and hid in the long grass, hid behind all this official national policy, instead of standing up for one of your own locals, one of the people that probably got you elected, and you've hidden behind all the long grass. Well, I'm telling you now, mate, you should, you know, if you stand to be an MP, you should stand to support the people that you represent, and not whatever the government's policy is to do this or to do that. So, you know, I'd be very careful if I was you, mate. Your seat might not be as safe as you think it is if people were to find out just exactly what you've been involved in here. And as for the opposition party, you know, you should be challenging this every step of the way. If you have any hope of trying to get in from this government. You know, you need to be challenging this every step of the way, sharing it with every MP, and getting every MP to sign it, because fundamentally what the government have done and brought in this law, it's wrong. So please share the video. Have a look at the Bob Hockenhull video from BBC Midlands today. It's a far better video than this, and I'll share it after this. I'm going to put the comment here in the video where people can share. Have a look at the video afterwards from Bob Hockenhull, and you know, please share it with your pages on Twitter and what have you, and on Facebook, and share it with your friends. And let's see if we can get it to the 100,000 signatures by May the 3rd. Yeah, so that it gets discussed in Parliament, because it's wrong. And this is probably like a key electoral point. Dismantling the NHS, immigration, you know, there's so many issues here that come into local politics. This should be a discussion in the pubs and the clubs and the buses and the workplaces and things like that. So I'm sorry that I get passionate, but, you know, if you're elected to stand to represent people, represent them. Don't dare sell them down the river, and stand up for the people that have elected you. You know, that's what you get paid for, in case you forgot, you know. So please sign this petition. Please share it with any friends that work in the NHS. Please share it with any physios that you know, and let the government know it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. You know, tell them what you think by signing a petition. Okay, cheers.